Hey folks, just getting started. I should have intro music going, but I don't. Getting ready. Okay, looks like it's working. Oh. Go super echo. I can't figure out how to get to OBS. There we go. External monitor. There we go. Alright, so hopefully if I close this window, while stream recording is shut down, make sure I'm going to exit. No. If I hide this, does that work? Remind me later. OBS is looking there. We'll see how the stream goes. Okay. So I'm trying to. So this is welcome to behind the scenes for what I think I'm calling a template for modern education, version 1. Had a conversation. I've got a few professor friends. One of whom is my oldest friend, who I've known since 3rd grade. She's a professor up at a college up in New York, and they're shutting down all classes and going completely online. I was talking with her yesterday about, wow, that fan noise is a lot. Sorry, give me 1 second. It's probably OBS, kernel task. So yeah, so sorry about the fan noise. I don't think there's anything I can do about that right now. Hopefully it will not be too bad. So was talking with her, and I can get rid of that. A little bit about, I don't really need anything there. Oh, yeah, I should have a screen up. So this is the behind the scenes. So this is me working on some ideas for a modern template for education. So I was talking with Jamie. I really should have a photo up. So what would be a good photo to have? Puppy photo. That's pretty good. Nah, hang on. I like the other one better. Okay, this doesn't matter. I was just trying to get something out on the screen so that you're not just staring at a gray thing. Oh, you know what I could do if I was smart? So this is behind the scenes. This is me figuring stuff out, right? So I'm going to go back to OBS, which is the software that I'm using to broadcast on Twitch. So let's see. What we're going to do is we're going to make a new heading here. This is going to be all over the place, folks. It'll get better, but this goes to the idea of use OBS. Learn how to use OBS. I forget what it open source broadcast service system, something. Hang on a second. So since that fan noise is so loud on the computer, I can actually turn on my overhead fan, which will help keep it a little bit cooler in this room. Okay, so if the fan noise is going to be up, I might as well put OBS over here so I can see it a little bit and make sure I see what's going on. Oh, I need to put Twitch chat up in case people chat me. Checklists. So another idea for this. So I'll settle down here in a minute as I start getting stuff lined up. But I do kind of think tangentially a lot. So this is the title. Whoa. Wow, the computer is slow with OBS running. Oh. Twitch just started up. So now I need to go to me. Checklists. Create and use checklists for getting set up for so creating checklists. So I can't pull it up right now. Actually, maybe I can. NV Alt. Hang on a second. I need to casting font setup. Past to-do list. No, I don't have it set up yet in my notes. Okay, I can drop that for a second. And I can bring this word wrap so you can actually see all the words if you want to follow along. That's probably readable on desktops. Definitely probably not on phones. So how do I pop out the chat? Users in chat. Nobody's here. Surprise. How do you pop out the chat? Anyways, so this is behind the scenes. Oh, it's going to go infinitely. No, it's not. Or maybe it is. I don't know. Oh, everything's so weird right now. Stream chat. What's this? Collapse. I don't want to collapse. I want to pop out. Video producer. So this is behind the scenes of me figuring out how to do Twitch casting, or how to. So backing all the way up. Hi, folks. Welcome to the introduction of Welcome to behind the scenes of a modern a template for modern education. Puppy photo. No, don't do puppy photo. Do Twitch cast. I need to have something up here. So that was the second take. This will be the third or fourth take. This is all behind the scenes stuff. Like, this will all be raw stuff. You can go out and watch it. You can not. I want to get that better puppy photo. This is the puppy photo I want. Oh, look at that. They have ads up top. Of course they do. How do we, it's on Shutterfly. How do I go to that image? Ideas, puppy picture. Well, I guess actually what I could do is I could go to Word. Yeah, my computer, so the internet's slow because I'm both broadcasting and downloading at the same time. Oh, come on. I don't know why I didn't think about this earlier, but why isn't Word starting up? Or it should be starting up. Let's see if maybe that starts up faster. I can close my puppy photos for now. So this will be something that professors are probably used to, is having a title slide. Blank document. Create. A template for modern education, version 1. Behind the scenes for behind the scenes. No, let's do it this way. But template for modern education, behind the scenes, version 1. We'll talk about versioning numbers here in a minute. So let's make this bigger so we can see it. So this will, a bunch of this is just gonna be me playing. Oh, look at that, that worked great. Right, so now we have a title slide. So we're gonna go back over here. Let's close this. Oh, it's so slow when it's doing the casting. Like I said, I've got hardware over there that eventually I can set up that'll offload so that my computer isn't the one having to do the actual encoding, because that's what's firing this up. Okay, why is this closing? Close that. There we go. So, oh, this is so slow. Versioning. Need to make that. Use title slides in your intro so that when you start up, you see something like this. You should make it look better, but this gets you there. So let me just make sure that's coming through. So now I'm on Twitch. Oh, let me back up. All right, so let's do the intro again while we wait. No, I want to get the... Yeah, I want Twitch to come up first. So connecting to chat, connecting to the thing. How do we see... Good Lord, this is slow. Channel. So what I'm doing right now is I'm going to take some notes on how to set up. Well, I wonder if this is going to do the thing where it goes do. It hasn't moved over to the channel yet. Oh yeah, it's going to like go infinitely back. Okay, so I'm on channel. Creator dashboard maybe. So I just tried a minute ago. No, that's not what I want. I guess I'm ready to roll. Oh, come on, mouse. Fire safety, build a community. Whispers, help, notifications. So there's gonna be a lot of this, a lot of me just kind of bouncing around trying to figure stuff out. So these are largely gonna be boring and me trying to figure stuff out. Back to Twitch. I'll do the intro here in a minute as we get going for this. This is frustrating. Back to Twitch. So my computer, yeah. So this is actually really interesting because like my computer is normally up and running pretty quick, but when it's trying to encode video, so here's a note. Holy cow, it's slow. I'm gonna have to figure out how to do miscellaneous. Realize your computer will run very slow when doing a live Twitch broadcast and possibly doing other live stuff Zoom. So Zoom isn't nearly as bad, or WebEx, or any of those, or Teams. Okay, I gotta get that to stop in the background. Online, share my activity, channel, video producer, friends, subscription, inventory, settings, dark theme, logout. How do you see? I want to be able to break out my chat so that I can just see my chat. Because I don't want to be downloading past broadcast, people, nothing. Stream manager. Okay, here we go. Community. No, insight, stream manager, home. What's this gonna do? Welcome back, mix it up, build a community. Still trying to figure this out, obviously. I may... Hang on, let me try this one more time. Oh, I should have put this under a different category. I wonder if I can change categories while it's going. Snapchat. Why can't I get this chat to come out? Oh wait, what's this? Yeah, it's under science and technology, but that's not really what this is right now. This is, well, it's live updating, whatever. Oh, IRL, yeah. Switch to non-mod settings. So here's how you do moderation. Users in chat. Collapse. Expand. All right, how about this? Wow, Twitch. Break out chat to new window. Yeah, so this is largely me figuring out how to do stuff. So it's the behind the scenes for my idea of creating a little experiment for a modern template of education. Click the gear item when you type in a message, select pop out. Click the gear item next where you type a message and type pop out. Okay. Did I just miss that? Pop out chat. There we go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my own note. Twitch chat pop out. And then I want to tag this with rename this checklist chat pop chat pop out. So that chat pop out made this, and chat is now hidden, so I can actually close this, which means I don't have to stream down as well. Close that, close that, close that. Go to the page. In the chat, with the gear icon. Sure. Switch to non-mod mode. So these are my notes for how to get stuff set up, and checklist, right? So that'll be part of my checklist. Make a video that shows how to set up each of the streams. Syllabus. How do you spell syllabus? Oh, that's so slow. SYLLYBUS. Come on, autocorrect. SYLLABUS. To add. So I'm just using a plain text editor here for making my notes because I find this has the least amount of friction for me. I guess I should bring that chat window up and put it out here in case somebody actually joins and chats. It makes it super easy for me to type very fast, and I use a language called Markdown. Oh, there we go. Or not a language, but just a formatting of Markdown to make it easier for me to kind of figure stuff out. So main headline, secondary headline, third headline, to add, show how to set up for each. With OBS. Upload YouTube videos. Okay, so remote work guidelines is something else I'm working on. So what you're seeing right now is just all the raw footage. This is just me doing a Twitch cast behind the scenes. And one of the things that I was thinking about was it might be interesting for, I'm going to say professors, what I mean is teachers. So I guess I'm going to say teachers. It might be interesting for teachers to live stream their, let me actually put this in here, miscellaneous, live stream your research and building out the syllabus. Because why not? So I'm throwing out ideas here, and so let me go back and we'll do the full intro here, right? So a template for modern education, version 1, behind the scenes. So hi, I'm Alan. Welcome to a template for modern education, version 1, behind the scenes. This is me experimenting with some ideas for what I'm calling modern education. Lots of the language that people are using right now is online education because lots of schools in the United States are shutting down, schools and universities. I'm just going to say schools because the university is a school. Superset, minor set, are shutting down their classrooms and going online only. I have a professor friend, or I have a few professor friends, but one specifically up in New York, who is one of my oldest friends. I've known her since third grade, so she and I get along very well because otherwise we wouldn't still be friends after that amount of time. And I was talking with her a little bit about online education and how they were basically given 2 days to redesign their courses and to go all online. And how insane that is. Especially, and then the thing that I got thinking about was most professors don't have training in the tools of doing online education, is my guess. At least not for building their own courses. That's a guess. It's a hypothetical, but I'm going to go with that. So I've never taught really, or at least not a class. I try and teach people how to do stuff as part of my job and as part of just, I like doing it, but not as like a teacher with a curriculum, with a course, with a syllabus, etc. That said, I've spent a lot of time, and so this is all the credential stuff, right? So walk through the credentials. I've done some online education myself, so I've been a consumer of it, and I've spent a lot of time online because we all have. But I've also spent some time doing user interface stuff and thinking about. So I spent about 20 years working for the PGA Tour. Well, 17 years working for the PGA Tour for PGAtour.com and PGA Tour Digital. So one of my responsibilities was thinking about what we call the end user, so the consumers, thinking about the people who are actually using the product and trying to put myself in a mindset of how they deal with stuff. And from there, okay, so hang on. Again, so this is the behind the scenes. This is me doing research. So, syllabus. Introduction to me. Credentials. Why I'm doing this, etc. Look at behind the scenes. Maybe 10 minutes in. So, yeah, so this is behind the scenes, right? Intro. Credentials. So now what I can do is when I'm going through the video, I can actually look up and see this intro and credentials stuff. So just real quick, as a note for myself, if I go back and watch this, there's a few minutes of me talking about the intro and credentials prior to this. So, miscellaneous. Have subsection slides in each video episode so you can see visually. Happen. Also, link directly to them. So I've spent a lot of time thinking about thinking from the perspective of a consumer and really trying to actually think through what we call usability, user interfaces, human interface guidelines. That's all new within the past few decades because human interface guidelines for computers didn't exist however many years ago because we didn't have computers. Like, they're less than 100 years old. They're probably less than 50 years old. I don't know. No, they're more than 50 because there's well, it depends what you call a computer. An abacus, whatever, blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. I hope you get the idea. Whatever. That's a condescending statement. So hopefully you follow me. Or that's not important. That's a better way to say that. That's not important. Also, I should point out I have bipolar disorder, and so this is the first time in a couple years since I had my first bipolar. So I didn't know I had bipolar disorder until I was 42. I'm now 45, and I was basically hypomanic for a long time before that, but I had a full-blown manic episode and then a very big depressive episode that lasted for a couple years. Right now, and I mean that quite literally, is the first time that I've done this type of work. I did some Twitch casting with some live coding stuff. Well, maybe that was kind of the first time. But I don't know. So literally right now, I don't know if I'm ramping up into mania. I'm on my meds, so hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully this is just me continuing to come out of the depression, which can take a couple years, and a couple years for your brain to kind of heal itself. So hopefully that's what's going on here and not me getting manic. We'll figure that out. I feel like I'm talking fast, so, but that's kind of some excitement. Hey, the fans ramped down a little bit. Oh, it's probably because that fan's on and it's helping cool down that computer. Ooh, it peaked out when I coughed. That's okay. So credentials. That's kind of where I'm at. Like I've spent a lot of time thinking about people using, not only using computers, but using apps and using software and using websites and how we interact with it. That was kind of my jam for a long time. I did a bunch of work. So I actually invented a couple things with leaderboards for golf leaderboards. That I've actually been, so like, they got, so like a big one is, if you're on a leaderboard, whatever, leaderboard. I'm going to brag just a little bit right now, assuming this works. So the PGA Tour, by the way, we've shut down all of our tournaments. I still work for the PGA Tour. I'm just in a different department. I'm in a business analytics department, which is fun because it's new stuff for me to do. Wow, PGAtour.com is slow. So that's not... Stack Overflow is my go-to site for seeing how the speed of things. So Stack Overflow, completely loaded. PGAtour.com, leaderboard, still not coming up. Anyways, I built some stuff that got taken over. Like I invented a couple things because I happened to be at the right place at the right time. That's a good one. The right place and the right time to reinvent education. Into the next era, whatever. So I've got some credentials for doing this stuff. So that's basically my credentials. Who cares? Because it kind of, so one of the things that's interesting to me about stuff in general, art, specifically creativity, is oftentimes influences from the outside are really what get used and utilized for changes. Used and utilized are basically the same word. And then also restrictions and chaos are what cause things to change. And so we're sitting now at a point where intro, take one, whatever. Intro. we're sitting now at a point. Um, I'm thinking about how all this stuff's going to work. Like, this is actually pretty good. I wasn't expecting this to happen. Where I'm actually right now kind of making the first episode, or like one of the introduction episodes. Um, you'll notice that I call this stuff episodes. I'm kind of using the TV idea that we do of like S1, E1. So instead of saying, because I was originally thinking that you would have like chapters and sections, but chapter, section versus S1, E1. Like chapter 1, session 1 versus S1, E1. It's fewer syllables. And also we use S1, E1 a lot. It's just a nice, quick go-to. So season 1, or C1, maybe you could just do it C1, E1. For titles, call them C1, E1 for chapter 1, episode 1. Yeah, chapter 1, episode 1. Because it's a section, but it's also, it is an episode, right? If you're doing this over YouTube. And so I'm thinking about this in a couple different ways. And you'll see a note down here. So this started as a blog post. And then I started thinking, well, if we're going to do it, like, it got pretty long, right? So there's a decent amount of stuff that I started writing up. And I was thinking about shareability of it. And like lots of people like videos. And so I was thinking, well, maybe I'll make this a video. And I was thinking, well, so since some of the thing I was talking about was education, why don't I actually try out the template, like as I'm building it? So, or I'll define the template, the first version of the template, and then I will fill the template with the content, or stamp out a version of the template and use it to actually talk about using the template. So it's a little recursive there, but it will provide an example from, it'll give me experience of actually seeing if the template works, both from a creation standpoint and also from a consumption standpoint. So I can get feedback from people and see if this really works, and if so, and so this is version 1, and then we'll do and potentially we'll do version 2 and version 3. Somebody else may take over those. I'm fine with that. Because I feel like the way that I often work is like once I've kind of built the first thing, well, sometimes I like going back and refining, but I don't necessarily think I'm going to want to redo the whole thing from scratch. But we'll see. So that's the future. Who knows? The future will tell. The future will know. The future will know. So yeah, so that's where this came from. Like it started with a conversation with my buddy, and her talking about some of the challenges that she was having, and then me giving her just some thoughts from my completely outside perspective, but from my inside perspective on user interface and user design and content execution and blah 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 blah, stuff that she's never had to think about because she teaches in a classroom. Like they do, there are some computer programs and softwares and websites that they use to do some of their, I think, testing and grading depending on whoever, but the whole thing of like doing a class online is not something that she's done before, and not something that I think the vast majority, well, it's not something that teachers have done before, right? Because that's not the environment that we're set up in. We're set up so that teaching is a classroom thing. And so now we're having this switch to everybody's having to jump and try this other things. And so what's really interesting about this is lots of people are going to try lots of different stuff, and we'll figure out some of what we call in the industry, in the tech industry, best practices. those don't really exist yet. Like a best practice is talk about best practices. So again, this is just a behind the scenes one. So this is me just kind of talking through stuff. Eventually I'll actually make these into real full videos. It's also fun because it's not, it's kind of like a hobby. Like this is a thing outside my work that I get to define and I get to do. So this is neat. Oh, you know what I should do? I should turn down the AC, and I may go do that because it's actually getting warm in this room, and that's caused the thing to ramp back up. And also it's hot, so I'll be right back. I should have some music going, but I don't, so I'll be right back. And we're back. Well, we're almost back. We're coming back now. I should have also grabbed another coat while I was out there. I did not do that. So, yeah, so that's kind of the idea behind some of this stuff. And so there's going to be the main ones that I produce, which will be like the template of the course, but then there will also be behind the scenes. Which I can't remember. I put that somewhere. Where did I put that? So this is one thing that I don't care about, so I'm just taking notes here. I think I put something about behind the scenes down here already. It doesn't matter that I did. I'm going to duplicate it. That's fine. This is just the raw material. I'm just, I don't want to say puking out, but like, I'm just throwing out or purging all the ideas that are in my head. And that's not really a good term either. What's a good term for that? Just like, I'm just, wow, I'm exploding ideas. I don't know. Behind the scenes. It's probably sitting right here in front of me, but research and putting things together, because why not? I know I wrote that earlier, and I could actually probably search for because, oh, there it is. Live streaming research in the syllabus. So that's why I didn't find it. Behind the scenes. It's probably less for students. That's for other professors. Also, probably nobody's going to watch it. But doing behind the scenes is low stakes and good practice. And you need practice at the start. And ongoing, really. So that's how I take notes. Behind the scenes intro. Yeah, so this is good. This is actually practice. So right now I'm practicing doing a Twitch broadcast. And I will continue to practice them as so I'm having to talk about what I'm doing. And showing it, and you're seeing some of my things, and like, also I just think it's interesting to do behind the scenes. So, because some parts of the behind the scenes, maybe like I like behind the scenes stuff. That's really one of the reasons I'm doing it. I forgot where I was going. Yeah, so that's I've got Twitch up and running. So show how to set up Twitch. Where's my syllabus? Show how to set up a Twitch account. Show how to, so here's where we can do this. Twitch, how to set up a Twitch account. To set up OBS. Show how to do a broadcast. That may be the same thing. So I'm just kind of like throwing out idea, like an outline for a syllabus here. This will be something where teachers have experience already, is creating a syllabus. My wild guess is creating a syllabus for a completely classroom course versus a completely online or some modification course is basically the same. Like my guess is the syllabus is a pretty refined thing that will not see much modification in the transition to newer forms of education. That said, play with it. So there will probably be links in there, but like still, that's whatever. Oh yeah, so links to everything in the syllabus. That speaks to having the entire course videos shot and published. Yeah, so I was thinking a little bit about how you might, and so let's see. So for the first, maybe you only have a chapter at a time. However, you could link to a playlist that just doesn't have anything on it yet. That might be risky. No. Yeah. So maybe just put in the playlist for each chapter as it's ready. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. It's probably the better idea. So now, yeah, so this is interesting. So I've been taking a bunch of notes down here. And I've been giving it some level of headers and subheaders, etc. But now I'm actually going through, yeah, so this is good. I'm actually making a syllabus. Making your syllabus. Might be really short. Roll into something else. So, topic. So chapter 1, episode 1. No, let's do this. I like 1.1. Do I want the dashes there? Let's keep the dashes there for now. 2.1. Actually, do we want to do 2.0? So in software, we use like, and you'll see me do version numbers, and then and I think about version numbers a lot. And there's also these chapter numbers. So in version numbers, we often do like 2.0. Like you don't just say chapter 2. Well, I guess it'd be 2. Like there's like an overview before you get to the sections. But you'll also see me be a big fan of naming conventions. So what I'm thinking now is you would like everything would be 2.1. Start with 2.1. Don't start with 2.0. But like lots of stuff is like, is 2.0 a big enough? Yeah, let's start with the zeros. No, let's start with the ones. Because what I want to have is I always want to be able to make sure that you can reference chapter 1, episode 1. Yeah, so it needs to be 1. Because it's people who aren't techies wouldn't think about chapter 1, episode 0. And then you could actually have setting up your course intro 2.2, making your syllabus. And so the other thing that you can actually do is, so in software, the other thing you can do is like 2.2.1. But you'd always want to keep the same number. And I think just 2, no, I think you just want to limit to 2 to do places and then not do the other ones. Yeah, because like this doesn't have to be strict software naming. So what you could do is 2.2. Follow up 1. I'm trying to put in a place for, the idea is basically you create your videos and you post them, and then after you post them you get questions from your students and you go back and you make a response video to a Q&A video, like you answer their questions. So you get some questions, you go in. And so what I was thinking that you might do is do 2.2.1. That's interesting. Nah. Syllabus. Q&A number 1. Yeah, that's a better way to do it. I like that because you're still just sticking at two numbers. I'll play around with that because what you may also do is just it's a little bit of a different thing, but thinking about it like the TV stuff, being able to say C1E1, because what I was just thinking a second ago is like it may be that you'd want to do like chapter 2 overview, but like that C2 EO or E0. Which just like, again, that's a computery thing, that sounds fine, but like if you think about like TV shows, generally speaking, and there's exceptions to everything, we'll talk about the Pareto principle at some point, the 80-20 rule. Probably an 80-20 rule. So work for 80% of the people and fail for 20% or vice versa. Yeah. Yeah, so really, that's right. So what I'm not doing is thinking about like I think it's the pedagogy of like the teaching of the stuff. What this is really like, what I'm really working on here is the user interface of an online education. And this is me coming in completely naive, so I'm going to make a whole bunch of really silly things that people who are probably in the education thing will be like, oh, what you just did doesn't make sense. But like, there's part of this is the education background, part of this is the user interface and computer interface and usability background. I don't have the education background, but I got the other one. There's probably a whole bunch of people out there, and most teachers out there have the education background, but they don't have this. So I'm trying to add into the mix the stuff that I do have expertise in, and then hopefully we can, not hopefully, but we can combine that together and then actually create something that's pretty solid, right? And so I'm not super self-conscious, but I'm a little bit self-conscious about like, hey, look, middle-aged white dude coming in and trying to like say all the stuff that for doing online education and all that jazz, even though he doesn't know jack about it. You're right and you're wrong. Because I don't know jack about the education, but I do know a bunch about the computer stuff. So that's credential stuff. Like I'm just a little bit, I'm wary of this feeling like that. This is just an experiment. Yeah, so this will actually be interesting because this can kind of be a collaboration thing where I can actually collaborate with some of the professors that I know, actually some teachers. I know some teachers too. Teachers being not at the professorial level. Yeah, I mean everybody knows the difference. Whatever, they're all teachers. But I'm thinking my one of the things you do when you're working on a design project but in my case for usability and for building this kind of interface, which is really what I'm working on, is to have an audience in mind. Like, you don't want to try and build it for everybody. The standard line in the industry is if you're building for everybody, you're building for nobody, because it just becomes a mess. There's also a little bit of the idea of, well, Too Many Cooks in the Kitchen is a different one. Which, by the way, if you haven't seen the Too Many Cooks video, you should go watch that. That has nothing to do with this. I hadn't thought about that video in forever, and it's super funny, and especially if you grew up at a certain time, in the 80s, 90s, like whenever I did. It may hold up in general. I'm not sure. It's pretty good. So what was I gonna say? Something about, oh yeah. So I could actually merge. I could actually collaborate with some other professors on this and actually see about making this happen. Are actually taking their expertise, their educational expertise, and actually doing the combination of their educational expertise with the user interface expertise, and making this even a better product. God, product. It's all the businessy words, but like even a better template, methodology, whatever. So yeah. 3, 1, you're learning. Whatever. So I don't need to make too much on the syllabus right now, but like, oh yeah. So the other thing, I actually took some notes in the shower today. I have waterproof paper that works so you can take notes in the shower when you're having shower thoughts. That's another one that I haven't done in months and months and months. And I haven't really done it in a couple years. Because of all bipolar depression stuff. So what's really cool and what's super exciting for me, again, I hope this isn't mania exciting, I hope this is just neurotypical exciting, is that I'm actually writing notes and thinking about this. So like I'm really kind of digging this idea as a project for right now. I don't want to burn out on it, so I'm actually probably going to stop this in just a minute and just kind of like go take a walk. Oh, it's only 3 o'clock. Wow, time is weird. But anyways, I took some notes, and I'll do those notes. Yeah, so here we go. I'm just gonna throw stuff. I'm gonna throw a bunch of the stuff under miscellaneous. Like if I wasn't trying to keep a decent pace for the video for the Twitchcast, I would actually probably pause more. I'd be thinking more. I'd be actually dropping stuff in more appropriate places. But right now, because of the way that I'm doing this is more just of a brain dump. Brain dump, that's not bad. Actually, let's do this. Whoops. What? I don't know how to spell thesaurus. Oh, synonyms. Wow. I should be drinking while I'm doing this. Cesspool, depot, magazine. No, I want the action of dump. Ditch, drain, empty, get rid of, eject, unload, jettison. No. See, this is what I would be doing more of if, and I'm going to pause. I'm not going to do this as much of this because this is going to be boring to watch. But trying to talk through this. So brain, like I would spend more time trying to figure out a better word for this right now. Offload, disgorge. See, none of these words have a solid meaning, like a nice sounding meaning. A brain, unburdening, unburden. What else have we got here? empty, light, and loose, and I might find anything else. So brain dump. Yeah. Whatever. Oh, I forgot what I was going to type right there. Oh, maybe I didn't. Maybe that was me doing this. Yeah, that was me doing that. Okay. Yeah, so that's my little context switcher, so I can jump between applications. So you can do it this way too with Alt-Tab or whatever, which you can't see the ones that are to the left and to the right. But I'm so used to doing that that it works. I wonder if I can make that go down a little bit so you can actually see the letters that I'm typing. Does that stay there? Nope, doesn't. Okay, whatever. Oh yeah, so find an online course for video editing and go all the way through it. First, you'll need to know Yeah, so one of the recommendations here is going to be actually do some online courses. And because video editing is going to be something that you need to be able to do in order to do the publication of these videos, or something you're going to want to do. You could do like a little bit of what I'm doing now, which is just straight record and then just post it. I'm doing that with the behind the scenes. I'm not going to do that with the actual template ones I make. Now, what's funny is I'm going to record, I'll post all the raw stuff, which will be the behind the scenes, and of me editing and of all the other stuff. Maybe not all the edits, but some of the edits. Maybe all the edits. Who knows? I'm just gonna broadcast this completely. But part of the I wonder. So the question is, how many professors and teachers have gone through and actually done an online learning course? And then what they thought about it. Because like that's, my guess is a bunch haven't. And my guess is some have but didn't like it. And so this is like, again, this is a reinvention. Or this is an invention. So it's not an invention. Or sorry, this is not a reinvention. It's an invention. It's a reinvention. Whatever. Look at take a course, Khan Academy. How do you spell academy? Academy. Don't recognize something like Khan Academy. It's designed to be completely self-serve. So sometimes I'm just going to type and not talk, because that's how I get stuff out. hopefully you can follow along on the text. Let me do the rest of my notes. 80-20 did. Oh yeah, start each video. Did I already do that? Yeah. Use an intro like, hey folks, welcome to a template for modification, version 1. I don't know if you need to say the version number. But, yeah. This is chapter 1, episode 2, making YouTube introductions, whatever. Use title slides in your intro. Yeah, in your intro. And, just like resources. I was trying to think of the name of this book earlier. I'm pretty sure it's Presentation Zen. Oh wait, that might be the style sheet stuff. Oh no, that's it. Yeah, okay. It's a pretty good book. All right, so that should do it for now. Oh yeah, so the other one actually I'm gonna watch. That'll do it for most of my stuff for now. But one of the professors I know, I'm gonna completely steal a copyright thing here. So let's see. YouTube. Put in reference links and time codes. Ooh. Oh, wow. Oh, it's because it came from Facebook. Ah, come here. I'm guessing it still works. Yeah, so one of the professors I know, blogs and podcasts and videos. So he's going to be kind of at one of the forefronts of this stuff too. But this is his video that's talking about the principles of education to consider when teaching online. So he just produced this video, I guess today or over the past couple days, So I'm actually just going to watch it now. So you can watch me watching it. This is a reacts video, I guess. One, I wanted to see it, and so this will be more about the actual education aspect. So we talk about having the difference between the educational aspect of online learning and the user interface aspect of online learning. So I'm over here, he's over here. This is where we can kind of get up. And Steve's actually one of the guys that I'm going to be talking to, trying to figure this stuff out a little bit. So, hi Steve, I'm going to completely play your video right now and watch it and then potentially take notes on it. Like I've already seen a couple things I want to take notes on, but I'm going to rewatch it so you can do the behind the scenes of me watching it and taking notes or whatever. So some of my behind the scenes stuff will be watching other things and then thinking about it and commenting on it. So I'm just going to record a bunch of stuff and stream it. And so that's, again, part of the idea of doing a behind the scenes thing. This is it. So you can see parts of it. People can watch it or not. Like, there's also the crowdsourcing ideas. Like most people won't watch it, but some people might watch it either all the way through or at least parts of it, and then from there find little nuggets that they can pull out and either link directly to parts or talk about it or make whatever. Like it's just more content. Like that's what this is, right? It's generating content. I should tag my thing with education on Twitch. I'll figure out how to do that. Anyways, here we go.
My courses to an online format has been a bit of a exhausting struggle. I'm sure you're with me if you're a teacher, professor, and you're under the quarantine rules and online shift, as it's called. But this is a bad way to think about it. I think a lot of the frustration and problems are coming from the fact that we're thinking about it as a shift. It means a lateral move, that we're trying to take what's designed for the classroom and put it in this place that it couldn't be more unlike the classroom while we're teaching under quarantine or social distancing.
So
there are some principles.
There's a good one. If you saw right there what he did, there was a jump. If you listen to, there's a quick jump. If you watch the video, there's a quick jump where he's talking, and then you can see him move a little bit because he made a quick edit in there to probably remove some space or remove an outtake. And that's one of the editing things that professors really, or teachers really should learn how to do. So you want to remove, and that's something I'll show when I start doing the editing process, is that's what folks who are the YouTube generation, which is an awful term, but like that's what your students see on YouTube. Go look at any of the top YouTube vloggers or whateverers, and you'll see them do those cuts. Like that's a very standard thing that happens in YouTube. And so you'll want to do that. And I'll show
designed for the classroom.
Here you go.
And put it in this place that it couldn't be more unlike the classroom while we're
Right
teaching
there.
under quarantine.
So watch it again.
And put it in this place that it couldn't be more unlike the classroom while we're teaching under quarantine or social distance.
So, I may have already put something about there, but again, this doesn't matter. I can throw stuff in here and it's fine. Don't stop recording when you're doing a session. Also, edit out. So the real idea for me is to just listen to it, edit it for the audio. because that's really what this is about, right? It's the speaking. Like, you're not making. Don't think about this as like a TV show video where the visuals are at least as important as the dialogue, sometimes more important, or at least they're very close to each other. Like, the visuals of what you're doing most of the time when you're just doing, when you're just expounding or whatever the terms are not important for this. Like, they're a little bit important. Like, oh yeah, so dress. Don't just do it in a t-shirt. Like, act, like, be professional in this. Um, but like, kind of once you've crossed that bare minimum threshold, then it's the audio that's important, and you want to edit out ums and ahs, and like that little, and then also keep the pace going the same. So if you close your eyes and just listen to it, it sounds great, right? There's not any pausing or ums or ahs or all that other stuff. He just kind of goes through it. And then by the way, you can do that same thing to edit an outtake. So for example, if I screwed up, I could actually just edit that thing out, right? I just faked it, sure. But when I'm doing the real ones, what I'll do is I'll kind of go through this stuff, and then if I goof, I'll just keep going. And so it's like, ooh, I goofed. And I'll just go back and say, and if I goofed, I'll just keep going. Because then I can make that edit later in the software, which that's part of what you're going to have to do in order to do these well, is to learn how to edit. Not a lot, but a little bit. And there's probably, I don't know, 3 to 5 tricks that once you've got them, that gets you 90% of what you need. But that's one of them, right?
It means a lateral move that we're.
So make sure I got that.
Going to take what's designed for the classroom and put it in this place that it couldn't be more unlike the classroom. While we're teaching under quarantine or social distancing, there are some principles that I've used in online course design that helped me, and I thought I'd make a short video in order to help you kind of think about what it is that you're supposed to do to adapt a class for online. Now, the word adapt is a very important word for me. It's a very special word for me because I'm a rhetorician, and rhetoricians are all about adaptation. But I don't know if adaptation is the right word to use in this context because of how people are going to take it. You're going to think that you've got to do all the same things you've done in your class or the students aren't going to learn. So you've got to figure out how to squeeze all of those things you do in an in-person class for 90 minutes, a couple of times a week, into some kind of weird online system where we're not even sure if the connection is going to work when we do talk to students live. Adaptation is not the right word. I think the word is reboot. I did pick it because it's...
So I like these as reboot. I like reinvent better because reboot, to me, and Steve and I will talk about this, or Steve will talk to you about this, is you're doing the same thing over and over again. And he'll get, like, actually I haven't watched, this is where I stopped last time, but like I like reinvent versus reboot, because reboot, if you reboot a computer, you're bringing up the same system that you had earlier, versus reinvent, which is making a new thing. So Steve, you and I can talk about that, Mr. Rhetorician. I just challenged the rhetorician to a word fight. Not a good idea.
Yes, I'm cheesy. I do like that. You got me. When the computer's not working right, and when programs aren't opening, and when you're not able to do the work you do, you turn it off and turn it back on, and then you reopen those apps that you want to do your work on. And I think that's the approach we got to take to online learning right now. It's not even really online learning. It's more like triage, really. So we're going to do what works, even though it might not be the healthiest or the best or the advised way to treat something. We're in triage. And this is the tool we've been given to treat our students well. So how do we treat our students well and ethically and properly when we are rebooting our courses with only 5 or 6 weeks left in them in the first place? Principle number 1, and these are principles, not rules. I don't want you to think that there are these rules for online teaching that might not be the best way to think about it. Principle number 1, if it doesn't work on a phone, don't do it. Now, most of the students have access.
So the other thing I really like is figure out how to do graphics. Basic graphic overlays. And figure out when to use them. That said, don't require them for the class. Don't require them for the learning. Remember to think about the podcast. So that's one thing I haven't talked about here yet, but it's one of the notes. At least I think it's one of the notes. So that's the trick. Is I wrote a bunch of stuff here, and then I stopped because I wanted to. I wanted to set up the behind the scenes stuff, and then so it took me a while to set up the behind the scenes stuff, and also then I took a shower because it was time for a shower. But I should cough into my shoulder or my elbow. So I don't know if I've got all the notes over here already for things like treating this like a podcast. And I'm about done. Like, I'm getting kind of tired right now, so I'm about done with this. But I may add some more notes later, because I don't. Yeah, I'm gonna you won't see all the behind the scenes stuff on this. You'll just see some of it because I want to go back and actually just write some stuff now. And I don't want to have to talk about the stuff that I'm writing, and because it's kind of exhausting, or it takes a lot more energy to do this performance of what I'm doing versus just kind of clicking around and writing and all that other stuff. So that's probably getting there. Anyways, actually, if I look up the word hearing, no, it's not in there yet. Okay, so make sure podcasts. Describe what you're doing. Also, don't show fully done graphics. Draw them while screen recording. Yeah, so I've been kind of bouncing around this idea a little bit, but I'm just realizing it. One of the biggest things for me is I really think, so I'm an audio learner. I need to hear it. But if I could, and this is a hypothesis, I haven't done this yet, but my guess is if I could just, well, actually that's not true because I've listened to some, oh yeah, so check out great books on tape. No, great courses. Slow internet. Also, this site probably has a bunch of crap on it. Yeah, has a bunch of crap on it. That's really funny. So people talk a bunch about like doing this video stuff and doing the online stuff, but like it's it's really the audio that's important. You know, 95% of the time. Or what's a better way to say that? It's really the audio that's mainly important, that's mostly important, that's majority important. I don't know. There's not a good term for that yet. Yeah, so that's actually probably a pretty good idea. Is basically design your course thinking about the audio more than the visual. Like, and probably professors already do that because they're speaking and they're used to that in presentations. But the one aspect that they may not think about on that is like doing diagram is so think about it as a podcast, I guess is the trick. So even though you're doing it video, think about it as a podcast. And so if you've got visuals, describe the visuals. That's probably one of the biggest things. Cool. What was I doing? Talk about best practices. We're still figuring out. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to watch the rest of the Steve thing, and then I think I'm going to call it.
Through a computer, right? They might not have their own laptop, but we all see them on their phones all the time, right? In their class, they try to hide it from you. You see them in the hallway, they're all talking to each other, looking at their phones. Weird, right? But this is their culture, and this is the way they search for information, look for information, and figure things out. This is how they negotiate their social lives, their personal lives, their work lives, their research and schooling lives. They're all done on a phone. A phone is going to be 90% of your students' way to access the internet. Maybe even more. It's comfortable and familiar. It makes it a great candidate for online learning. Now, yes, they do have access to a computer, probably most of them, but let's think about how the computer is arranged with their life right now. They were used to independence, they were in a dorm, maybe they use the computer lab, maybe they have their own computer. But a home computer for our students is going to be in the family room with the television, with the parents, with younger brothers and sisters, with animals. It's going to be a nightmare. It might not be the best place to study. A lot of our students like to study alone in private, door shut, with their phone, with the headphones in, listening to music. They need a space where they can get into that learning mode that they have trained themselves works for them. And now's not the time to critique that study and learning mode. Now's the time to present material that fits for that study and learning mode. And adapting for a phone doesn't hurt.
That's a good thing too. That kind of goes back to the podcast idea of listening, right? So being able to like, imagine being able to, like he talks about like walking around and listening to stuff. Like that's what the podcast, and like I'm a huge fan of podcasts. So podcasting courses is a good idea. I'm not going to look up podcastingcourses.com. If it's not already available, you should buy it and make $1 million and then give me some.
Any of your students who prefer a computer or prefer a laptop or something like that, it's not going to hurt them. They'll still be able to get the content. It's just, if you design it for the computer, it's not going to look great on the phone. Vice versa, it's going to be fine. it's going to be great. Lots of learning management software have.
That's not quite true. If you design it for the phone, it may not look great on the computer. Like that is a tension in design world that's hard to beat. Like there's responsive design, but like again, I'm thinking more about this as just like the publishing of the video, so not like designing a website. But he does raise a good point, and it does go back to the audio thing too. Is like consider somebody. This is a really good point. Consider this is good. I like this. What the hell is going on? Set unsave view name. Okay. We're going to save this so I don't lose it all. And also, because that freaked me out, we're going to throw it to a different application and save it from there, just to make sure. You can't see it because it's over on the side. Oh well, okay. Where to save? There it is. Okay, that's probably fine. Consider lots of your students, and so look, editing right now. Consider lots of your students will be on phones. Make sure they're visible at that size. That's a really good one. Good call, Steve.
The ability to present something over a phone like Blackboard Ultra, which we use here at my institution, looks pretty good on a phone and works pretty well on a phone. You can design content on your browser of your choice, and it looks pretty well. But there's also another consideration for why the phone might be the best rule for course design. A lot of times we get caught up like kids in a candy store with this technology. I mean, look at me, I've got all this great tech for producing web videos and for teaching online. But sometimes it gets to be a bit much. Nobody needs a 4K video with a separate audio track at really high bit rate like I'm producing here. But I put it on YouTube because YouTube will automatically scale to someone's internet connection and still be usable. The content you're producing might not be usable, might not be accessible based on the type of internet connection the students have. So some students live in very rural areas. Some people live in areas where internet service is very expensive and they don't have it. Some are relying on businesses that are about to close for their internet, like Starbucks, McDonald's, places like that have free internet. So that internet is also not good. So try to produce things that a phone can handle. Means you're automatically reducing the bandwidth demand or the price of entry to your course. When I say price of entry, I mean those things that we don't think about, privilege, the things about having a good internet connection, a good screen, good audio, all of that stuff. You should absolutely try to produce the best material you can that cuts through the technological wonderment of it all and make something that's easy to listen to and easy to watch for them. But you don't want to make a demand of something where they have to be online for a long period of time in order to watch or see that content. I'm going to talk about this in a little bit too, but think about audio files as sort of the gold standard for online education. If you want to lecture to them, give your hour and a half lecture without any interruption, without any question and answer. It's probably going to be about a 20-minute thing or maybe even a 10-minute thing if you distill it down into smaller lectures that can be broken up. Once they go to their internet place, they can download those audio files onto their phone and study and learn with you at home where they might not have good internet.
Talking about downloading, but that's the perfect platform for a podcast.
In a position where they can
so you don't have to go try and grab them or whatever. That's probably what he's talking about, but we'll see.
Maximum benefit.
So now I'm actually doing a React video and stopping and reacting while he's going on. That hopefully makes it a little bit more interesting.
From your lecture and your instruction. The phone principle It's a good one for online course design as we reboot. Number 2, reframing the course. Everything you're doing might be an accident of history. In fact, the classroom wasn't designed the way it is today, the way we experience it, and the course schedule of semester wasn't designed because that's the best way to learn. It was the best way to learn given the economic, social, and material circumstances of people's lives. This is so important because what we are familiar with and comfortable with is not the best kind of learning. It's the best kind of learning given a circumstance. Summer holiday only happens in the United States because that's harvest season. The students need to go back and help with the farm. We had a very agrarian country, and public education isn't going to work, and education is not going to work unless you give people time to do sustenance farming. That's still a holdover from those days, even though most of our students are not sustenance farmers. So the accidental relationship of it, the way that all the desks face the same way, is because of the invention of the blackboard or the chalkboard. Didn't used to be the case when it was slates, and students are writing on their own personal kind of chalkboards, and the teacher's going around looking at it. Cheap paper and cheap ink has changed the way things are done in terms of grading and collecting assignments and the frequency of that. Writing a paper.
Sorry, I'm just remembering. Stop stealing dreams. I think this is it. So this is a dude named Seth Godin. He used to be a marketer, but now is just like a thinker, I guess. I don't know. Though he is still pretty good at marketing. But he's super interested in education. So I'll watch this one at some point too, maybe, and do a thing with it. Oh yeah, why not do that? Yeah, so why not? Here's an interesting one. Why not watch other folks' videos live on Twitch and do reacts to them? That's maybe not for your students, but just something to do. Yeah, so some of this stuff could be like more like improvisation. So like there's the idea of having like the design course where you have the class and you know what you're going to say, but then some of it could just be like basic improv stuff, right? So go do a react video, watch Seth Godin Stop Stealing Dreams when you're talking about education, and then go see, like, do a reacts thing to it, like I'm doing with Steve's thing right now. But whoops, Stop Stealing Dreams. All right, here we go.
Easy now with electronic devices like computers and things. Not so easy not too long ago. So keep that in mind. Everything you think is good education might just be really comfortable education based on an environment, a physical environment that's a product of accidental economic and material circumstances. So what does that mean for reframing the course? What's the question you're investigating together? And what are the practices that best help you investigate that question? Thinking about that will help you design things that are only connected to that. So it might be that you give a short...
I just zoned out totally. What did he say?
Framing the course. What's the question you're investigating together? And what are the practices that best help you investigate that question? Thinking about that will help you design things that are only connected to that. So it might be that you give a short lecture in audio form on the question of the class and have students respond with their reaction to the question. Or you can have them respond with an audio file or type an email to you of a paper based on one of the aspects of one of the things they need to study and need to be familiar with in order to address that question.
I think I've got that on here already, like allowing students to send in questions via video. Whatever, I'll just take the note again. But that shouldn't be required. They should be able to ask questions any way they want. Uh, all right.
And at the end of the term, of course, you can assess those practices. What are those things you hope they're able to do or say or speak that an educated person who's taken your class, someone who's studied that subject, would be able to do? In my case, it's easy. It's a well-constructed speech that takes into account audience variety, that takes into account the audience as human beings, and tries to make something with them that's communicative and powerful. But the question is, what's a good speech? And the practices are audience evaluation, research, drafting, tone and delivery, all those things. So reframing means get down to the basics. Reboot your class. All the things you did in the classroom, are they necessary or are they accidental? Are they things that are actual good learning, or they are things that work best given the accidental circumstances of the physical classroom and the 15-week semester and all these things that have nothing to do with being educated well, but everything to do with economic realities and material realities.
Right.
The final point is simple is best. Don't get overwhelmed by all the tech. There's so much cool tech out there. I'm the worst offender of this. I love it all, and I try to do so many cool high-tech things, but sometimes just an email, typed up email or an emailed PowerPoint of your lecture for that day is perfect to get your ideas across to a student. It's perfect. Think about access.
Maybe sometimes, but very rarely.
Focus, and think about giving them space.
Because most of the time, I don't know, for very simple stuff, maybe that simple stuff will work, but like that also would change the methodology of the class. Like again, I'm just thinking about this like the podcast and the audio, like, and for the type of class that I'm thinking about, you would want to have like, again, this is gonna work with every class. Yes, we get it. And so that's something I should do is define. Yeah, so maybe like a history course. Lots of this stuff, most of this stuff won't work for something like graphic design.
To process internalize and do deep learning on the material that you're presenting, and you'll go much further than spending hours trying to learn some crazy piece of software that your university bought for you that they suggest you use. Sometimes just emailing the whole class is the best way to get information across.
That's true.
And to get them to think about important questions. Sometimes having them email you a summary of what they read or questions they had about reading as an assignment is the best way to do it. And also simple allows for more frequent
Yeah, the communication channel coming back from the students definitely needs to be as simple as possible. So like email is probably the standard there. Like they're going to want to text, but like text probably isn't enough thing, but just like an email, like that's the communication medium, right? I'm sure that's actually probably already one of the main things that happens. But that's something that you want as little friction. Like one of the big things with usability and user interaction, user interfaces, is you want as little friction as possible happening with whatever the action is that you're trying to perform. So if they're trying to get a question to you, it needs to be as simple as possible. So don't make them send you a video. Like if, in fact, maybe even the first iteration don't even offer that, because that's adding complex. Like some students may freak out and think, oh, I've kind of got to do that, or like that just adds to that actually adds to their mental overhead of if they have a question. One of the questions they have to decide first is, am I going to send this as a video or am I going to send this as an email? Like that is a friction point. That is a decision point that has to be made. So if you can eliminate that, and I think that's probably the best thing to do user interface wise, is to eliminate that and just say, hey, send me an email if you have a thing. If some student takes the initiative to send you a video, that's fine, but don't make that. And you can just say, hey, send me a video, send me an email, send me a text, send me whatever. But like, don't imply that videos are like a big thing and a way to do it, because like, quite frankly, my guess is the overhead of having to do that. Oh no, actually, it's interesting. So the overhead may not be that much, because you can actually just fire up your phone and say, hey, Professor X, I got a question about whatever. Can blah 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 blah. That's actually a really good idea. So videos may actually. I'm going to take back everything I said. See, that's another thing, right? We're going to learn throughout this. And like that may be wrong, but like that's an idea. Anyways, continue, Steve, please.
Because you don't feel like it's such an
forgot where he was.
University bot for you that they suggest you use. Sometimes just emailing the whole class is the best way to get information across and to get them to think about important questions. Sometimes having them email you a summary of what they read or questions they had about reading as an assignment is the best way to do it. And then also simple allows for more frequent check-ins because you don't feel like it's such an obligation to turn on the webcam and make sure that's working, make sure the computer's not going to reboot with updates and all that nonsense that comes with technological dependency. Sometimes a text message is good too. There are lots of software out.
By the way, did you see what I was just doing there? I wasn't looking at the video because it's just Steve talking. I was kind of looking down here and listening, but giving my eyes something else to do, giving my body something else to do. And that's another thing too, like for me with podcasts, like going for a walk and listening to a podcast would be a great way for me to learn stuff. In fact, I'm probably going to get some more of those great courses and actually do that because that's a good thing. And like sometimes podcasts, like that's actually interesting because like one of the things I've been looking for recently is non-talking podcasts. So like I wouldn't mind like an educational podcast and not in like a course podcast because like there's some educational stuff out there, whatever. But like really what I want is like, learn more about jazz. Yeah, interesting.
Where you can get a different phone number from your actual phone numbers.
Hang on.
I feel like it's such an obligation to turn on the webcam and make sure that's working, make sure the computer's not going to reboot with updates and all that nonsense that comes with technological dependency. Sometimes a text message is good too. There are lots of software out there where you can get a different phone number from your actual phone number so the students don't have it. And they can text you anytime they want. And a text message might be a good way to do that too. So typing, posting on a message board in your LMS, a fantastic way, not incredibly.
So that's funny. He just used a term that I don't know, LMS, learning management software, guessing. But that's an interesting thing that'll happen with this is like the language will be built up around it. I don't know. I just like that kind of stuff. Like I am not specifically his audience. He's speaking to an audience that's not really me. I happen to be watching it, but he's made implicitly or explicitly, he made a decision to use an acronym that I don't know. In the tech world, one of the things that I've started to try and do is the first time I use an acronym is to say it out, is to say like learning management software or whatever LMS stands for. And then so I'd say like, you could post to that in your LMS or learning management software. And then blah, 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 blah. And then from that point forward, I just say LMS. That's just, I don't know, a note. But like, again, I'm not his audience. So like he like, and knowing him, he thinks about this stuff a lot. He likely doesn't care that I'm not his audience. Like he's speaking to a specific audience right now. And that was what I was talking about earlier about don't design for everyone because then you're designing for no one. Like he's speaking to a specific audience. I just happen to have walked in the room.
See with the educational technology, but effective. And that's what we want is students to, they're already stressed enough. They're worried about the world. They're worried about what this means for everybody.
I forgot where it was.
There are lots of software out there where you can get a different phone number from your actual phone number so the students don't have it. And they can text you anytime they want. And a text message might be a good way to do that too. So typing, posting on a message board in your LMS, a fantastic way, not incredibly sexy with the educational technology, but effective. And that's what we want is students they're already stressed enough. They're worried about the world. They're worried about what this means for everybody. This kind of discounts that stress a bit, is to do the simple. Audio is incredibly important here. We all have a phone. Here's mine. Very nice phone. But even if you don't have such a good phone, even if you have an out-of-date phone, or, out of date, what does that mean? If you have an older phone, it's got one thing in it that's a great piece of technology, a really good microphone. And if you plug in your headphones with the mic that you use for your hands-free, maybe when you're driving, that microphone is great too. We're just recording on voice memos your thoughts or things like that when you have them, and then piecing them together in a free piece of software like Audacity or any kind of sound editor.
Audacity, I should have brought up Audacity. New section, software. It's neat. It's really good free online editing software. Chapter X EX software.
This is wonderful. It's wonderful because you might really hit a teachable moment. Audio is downloadable. It doesn't take a lot of bandwidth to download it. If you're at a Starbucks or something where the bandwidth is restricted, the speed of the internet and the size of the files are restricted. You can't really watch Netflix there or anything like that. But you can download a very simple audio file from a voice memo. And that can be excellent teaching that doesn't take a lot of time or investment. The technology doesn't get in the way. And you can get back on track with getting the students to focus on your class and the things that you think are important for them to learn. So those are the 3 principles. I'd love to have a discussion in the comments here on this video. Well, let me know, and also look around the site, see if there's other videos that you might want to watch that might help you with teaching. Instead of thinking this as a problem.
That's the basic video of like and subscribe. You always got to like pitch your wares.
Or some kind of a nightmare scenario. Let's try to think about it collectively as a time to kind of reassess our practices and figure out, what does it really mean to be a good teacher? And what does it mean to teach something well? And let's strip away all those things that come with the classroom that might not be necessary, that we just do because they're comfortable or they work. And let's really interrogate and think about what makes a good class. What are those basic things that make a good class? And then I think you'll be well on your way to providing a pretty good close to the semester in pretty disastrous times.
Nice ending, Steve. Cool. All right, so I think that'll do it for now. We've hit, I don't know, I've been going for a while. I'm at the point where, as they say, you shouldn't make a movie longer than the size of anybody's bladder. And so I've hit that standpoint. So we're going to call it. Thanks for watching. I did this all live. I don't think anybody actually watched it live. That's cool. That's no problem, because what I'm going to do is post this on YouTube. And maybe nobody will watch it. Steve may watch it. Who knows? Hi, Steve. I have a feeling you'll watch at least part of this. You may not see this part, but thanks for your video. And that's a wrap.